So as part of that media effort, that's how we decided to start having art shows and art contests here in our space.
We thought about doing from grades 1 right up to grade 12 and adult amateur and adult professional. But then I thought about the art teachers who go back to school in September, and it just wasn't quick enough for them to get some, work under their belt as well as the students. So the first one, we limited it to adults, adult amateurs, adult professionals. And
right, and that first one was in conjunction with the Apple Festival, which takes place in September.
Correct.
So we didn't feel as though the schools had enough time to actually get some artwork together.
We didn't think the art teachers would be appreciated being put on a spot so quickly when they only had like maybe 2 weeks to actually see the students that were in their classes.
Right.
So we ran the first one, and it was photography as well as artwork, drawings or paintings. And we had a lot of really great submissions. Right. And the lady that did win, Miss Kim Shear, won in both classifications, both photography and in drawing as well. But it was very neat to see all of them. They were all great. I wish they could all be winners. One of the submissions was an absolutely gorgeous Malay laced-wing butterfly on a flower by Mary Ellen Stone. And the thing that amazed us the most was how long did she have to sit and wait for that butterfly to still himself so that she could indeed snap the picture. It was a lovely arrangement of coloring and nice balance, and that was one of the ones that did not win, but still a beautiful, beautiful photograph. Another entry we had was by Meg Robertson of Raya's Store, that bicycle that hangs on the railing with the S&H green stamp logo in the back and the pillars and the shadows of the leaves. Lovely composition. And it's like a piece of old township. And it's something that most of us see every single day, going and coming from work. And it was a lovely, lovely composition as well. Again, not a winner, but still a lovely work of art. The last example from the September art show is a rather large painting by, actually it's a pencil drawing, by David Shapley of a wrench, a 14-inch wrench that belonged to his father, Phil Shapley, who did a lot of the sets with me at North Reading High School. And the wrench, the detail on this wrench is just absolutely incredible. The dings, the nicks, the smudges. And David likes to work in large paintings but tiny minutia of details, and that's the last one we have from our September offerings.
So that was our September offering, and so we changed things up a little bit now that the schools had had some time to work with their students. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the spring art show, the items that are on display currently at Norcam and will be available during our open house.
The criteria for this particular art show was from grades 1 through 5, elementary, middle, and high school. And once again, they had to be mounted and even on construction paper or poster board, and it's framed in some way. And they had to be drawings or collages or any kind of media. But it had to be for the younger people, the school-age children.
And then the teachers in the individual schools made some
decisions
about what to submit to Norcam for consideration.
5 per school, so we had 25 different entries, and it was kind of neat because we all gravitate towards the kids that are more developed at the high school or the middle school, but seeing the imagination of little ones was just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, there were some fascinating pictures.
There were.
So why don't you tell us about a few of them?
We have what appears to be a giraffe by Isabella Perrette from the Hood School, and and this is just wonderful, torn pieces and collaged on. It's a giraffe eating from a tree, I believe. We have clouds and, you know, a nice smiling happy giraffe. I really liked this one. One from the middle school by Luke Johnson, grade 6, was an incredible pencil drawing of a bird in a tree. And when we think of pencil, we see either gray or white or black and white, but the shading and the developing and just the texture on the wings and in the leaves of the trees was really quite remarkable for a 6th grader. That's Luke Johnson and the bird from the middle school. From the Batchelder School, I believe. This one tickled my fancy. It's very patriotic, done in red, white, and blue with the stars and stripes in the background. Again, a lot of these are multimedia in that they're painting and crayon and marker and pencil and different types of media all within the same painting. And definitely 4th of July patriotic, which I happen to like. Another one from the little school is a beautiful yarn weaving by Anthony Master, and it's done in 3 or 4 different types of yarns, very colorful, very lovely weaving. It was just something that was very, very different. Nice matting to complement the colors within also. And the last one from the January art show is by Kathy Corbett from the high school and is of the gazebo right in the town common. And it's sort of a pastel, and it is very reminiscent of the Monet water lily type colorings with the pinks and the blues and the purples. Very, very lovely piece of work that caught my eye as well.
So we all wear a lot of hats here at Norcam.
Many, many hats.
And so why don't you tell us a few things that you've done and been involved in since we got started a while back.
Well, in the beginning, Theo Kouliopoulos and I spent quite a bit of time at the State House in Boston trying to get our name accepted so that nobody else could have it, getting us set up as a nonprofit organization. That took several trips in and out of the State House. Then, being the only female on the board, I was asked to go shopping for the valances and the curtains in the conference room. And as a special project, I took on painting the plywood with Rob Carboni, our executive director. We painted it all black. I think there were 8 sheets of plywood and lumber. Then Phil Shapley and I constructed these boxes that would fit over the present windows.
And this was to keep the light from the windows out of our actual studio space.
Out of the studio and out of the control room. And each one had to be constructed and configured in a different way because of where the windows were placed, where the beams were placed. So there was measuring and hammering, and Phil and I chose probably the hottest day of October that I've ever encountered to do it, but we got the I think it was either 4 or 5 windows done. I also serve as secretary. I take the minutes at the meetings and then I type them up, and at the next meeting, and there's always a couple of typos, and I make sure that we have a computer file for them and also a hard copy. And I also am the local grammarian with help from Mrs. Welsh, retired grammar mistress. And I also head up a lot of the hosting of the sweet things that we have, the Apple Festival and the upcoming opening. So I handle all of that and getting the table laid and getting the food ordered and presentation. So we all handle anything that we can do to help. I mean, I've helped take stuff to the storage ones. We all do what we can to help.
Right, and that's one of the reasons we're doing the big show, is that we could use some more help. We hope that folks will get involved, become members of Norcam, start making their own television programs. And also, in terms of the art contests, we will be having another one coming up, correct?
Middle school children have art once a quarter a year. So some of the children never got to enter anything because they haven't had art yet. So we'll have another one in the spring that will again encompass the school-age children, and then from there we'll decide what we want to do next fall.
Right. So on behalf of the Norcam board, I want to thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you.
You will be here during the open house, so if anybody has questions, they can see you and have some of the yummy food that we'll have at the open house. So we hope you'll stop by. And once again, Agatha, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, when I started about 3 years ago, we had 80 people, and we were 80 families
that needed
that were using the food pantry. Not just CCS, which is Christian Community Services, which helps with rent and fuel, phone, cable, gas, stuff like that, but the food pantry. And that was a lot of people, a lot of families. 80 families in this community, you would think, is a lot. And then, of course, the economy went down, and people were coming in, people who were our regular contributors were coming in to use the food pantry. And it you know, was a slap in the face to them. It was very humbling to them. It was a very awakening moment to them. It's not poor people. It's not old people. It's not sick people. It's everybody. It's poor people and old people and sick people and people who just lost their job and people who just got divorced and people who just had a layoff or their hours reduced because they're making money, but they need the money for something else like rent or gas or a doctor's bill. So that's many people use the food pantry. Now we have 165 families.
So in 3 years, the families have doubled. Doubled.
And you know, it's winter now, and so people are needing more things. They need warm clothes. They need medicine because people get sick in the winter, and so we'll probably have more clients.